Good morning. My name is Megan Tori. I'm a 60 scoop survivor. Currently, I'm trying to survive in La Flèche, Saskatchewan. That's an hour away from the U.S. border, 7 hours away from any First Nations community that I'm comfortable with or aware of or know their policies. I have tried to work in La Flèche. There's no work to be had around here, especially for a First Nations person who's as strongly opinionated and hated as I am. So I have tried to work, whereas there's no work provided or availability around here. So in May of this year, well, this month, I'm still trying to get my disability from Saskatchewan government. This is an email I sent yesterday, and I want you guys to see this because everybody says I'm a storyteller. Hey, these little kids, so they don't have a clue. That is the Saskatchewan Social Services Minister. That is Tim Jensen's email up there. That is my social worker's email. Then that is also the Saskatchewan Human Rights email. This was sent yesterday at 2 o'clock. So you see, I've been asking to meet with them, and I've been targeted by this system. I do feel that. I've voiced that to Mr. I've also expressed that I've explained this situation and these allegations to Minister Merriman before Mr. Makowski. And then finally, Mr. Jensen. And I said in 2024, I spoke to Makowski when I brought forth that allegation. Also, I brought forth these potholes or loopholes that I'm finding within their said disability program, and that's too much communication. Finding that right now currently with Sonia Ballas and her 4 supervisors who don't know who Minister Jensen is, right? So this is where I've also explained to them that these allegations, what Mr. Moe said to me, Mr. Moe, Scott Moe is our premier here in Saskatchewan. When these things accrued, when they started attacking our children, ACFS got involved, so did SaskHealth. I asked Mr. Moe, I asked our premier to help us, right? He told us he had no jurisdiction within First Nations communities. And then I find within Section 3 of our said handbook that, yeah, when First Nations live on communities and they apply for the Saskatchewan Assisted Income Disability Benefit, that Saskatchewan does play a role in here, right? They also play a role in the lives of immigrants and refugees who aren't even Canadian. So I guess, how does Scott Moe have jurisdiction over their lives? Also stated here that I broke my back in October. This social worker, she focused on the bank account and nothing about my medical well-being or anything about my HIV, nothing. There's no follow-up in that regard, but they want to know my banking statements. My banking statements, I sent them via screenshot, and they found out about my TD bank account through my drunk sister, who I also stated that I did not give her any fucking permission to give any kind of information to my social worker. So I guess that's the problem of us having the same fucking social worker, right? And they won't fix that issue. So this is from the said handbook itself, page 4950. It says single clients. It says the earned income and what we're allowed to earn from the date of eligibility. And the annualized earned income exemption is based on family composition for a full calendar year. Single clients are allowed 7,500. So earned income exemptions are based on the calendar year, January to December, and any unused exemption from one year will not be carried forward to the next year. And we must report our wages by the 10th of every month. But for me, I had a 60 scoop litigation payment while I was out in community, right, in a First Nations community. And I was living with Lenny Sasakamoose, who is also a First Nations exemption in that community. And we didn't even know you could get disability in the community because that's what I explained to these people too, right? So Lenny helped me pay. Lenny paid back out of his cows and plows, and now they're trying to get that information out of me of how much money he paid me back. And this was a business agreement that we had before I signed on to said program. And that's what I'm stating is those are my UNDRIP rights to being a First Nations treaty member. I was invited in by those treaty agents. They told me I'd have all the same rights. They withdrew those rights through their child and family services system, also through their justice system. And I'm saying Saskatchewan backed them up, and that's accessory. They did it criminally, and Saskatchewan is backing them up. So when these attacks happened at Atacacoop Child and Family Services, Paul Merriman was the minister, and I told you what they told me at Child and Family Services, or at actually the Saskatchewan Children's Advocate when we asked for these investigations. Anita Hennique has been there forever, so has Maureen Hennique, so has Ray Hennique, Richard Hennique. They've been in business with Saskatchewan for a multitude of years, right? Decades. Paul Merriman was the Minister, Social Services during the times of these attacks. And even here it says 6.8.7 client who provide a level of care services. My sister provided level of care services for myself. So did Deja. They're both on the welfare system, but they weren't offered this 330 for pay from welfare, right? So how come it works like that too, right? We're not allowed to make ourselves any more money, but it even states here on the disability program, also the social insurance program. So they are covering things up constantly because they don't want anybody to get ahead. And they're finding ways for our immigrants and our refugees. This is also out of the same handbook, Non-Canadian, see Chapter 3.2, Refugees, Resettled Refugees, Refugee Claimants, Rejected Refugee Claimants. So that's if they get rejected from the Canadian government or their communities for funding, then they can come here and apply within the said disability program under sponsorship. So this talks about rapid reinstatement, reapplication, applicant in a family unit, medical report forms. I fall under all of these things for rapid reinstatement. I do. I met the financial criteria. So on the community, in the community that I could have applied for welfare out there, I could apply for disability out there, but because Carol Ahenakew was the social worker out there, she gave us a very hard time. Here it talks about supplementary health application, individuals who are non-status Indians on a Saskatchewan First Nation. So they're very aware. Paul Merriman refused us an investigation. Scott Moe said they didn't have any jurisdiction out there, right? See Scott Moe shaking hands with Larry Ahenakew in the acute care center. You see Paul Merriman. When I was abducted at health, Paul Merriman was the health minister, stated right here in 2022. I was abducted in 2021. He was the health minister then too. We did not get an investigation. They refused us one, tried to bribe me and lied to me about it. So this was the premises in which Anita Ahenakew placed my daughter, and I'm not lying about where she placed my daughter. This was her auntie's house. She gave either her auntie's house or her mom's house, Donna Ahenakew, on the ECDEV trustee committee. That's where she wanted to place my daughter, pictured at the top there. This was the place in which she placed her. I'm not lying about anything I'm saying, and nor do I make up stories. We took pictures. And at the bottom here, you see Joni Genro, the receptionist that assaulted me. She's saying that we're lying. How are we lying when the evidence is plain in your face? This was after that attack, and she states, "You're starting up again, Megan. Josh and I are support workers, yes, and we'll always step in when the case workers are being attacked." So she would love it if I came and said the shit to her face. She locks me out. She assaults me, unlawfully confines me, then assaults me, then continues to assault me on social media. That's cyber abuse. And she comes on with Carla Albert. She states how old the worker is. I did not assault this worker, and there's been no investigation, so we don't have the evidence. And I have all these complaints on her to the RCMP, and Dave Sanderson at the RCMP told me Anita Ahenakew tells them who to charge. This is why they've never been charged. And we've got the report that the RCMP were told to stand down. So I've questioned everybody. They're being quiet, very quiet about everything, and sending more RCMP on me. This was a year later, and this is why Lenny and I broke up, because Lenny would not defend me. Lenny was telling me different informations too. He was telling me shit in my house, and it was pissing me off. And then I would rant, and then he says, "Oh, well, you were too busy fighting with everybody." He was feeding me fucking information out of my house too. This is evidence to that. Joni is the receptionist at ACFS. This is highly inappropriate for a child and family services worker. Joni Genro with the band office receptionist, Carla Jane Albert. These are the ones that I've been asking them to investigate and charge. It is conspiracy. It's predominant purpose conspiracy because the band covered up for them and accessorized for them. They're accessories. They're accessory after the fact. Carla also threatened us with Marty and Lisa and everybody else, and they all got away with it. I'm never ever going to stop until I see them charged. This is Iona Ahenakew, the chief's wife, on my page. She encouraged a lot of the behaviors, the misconduct. This is a letter sent to Kent Ashworth December 10th, 2018, asking for help. They ignored us. Why? That's the end of that letter. It was CC'd to Chief and Council. They ignored us. They said no. They weren't willing to help us when people were threatening to kill our kids. Why? This is what they did in Atakakoop, is continually send the officers after me. They sent 6 officers to me at Limerick Bar last week. It was Tim McLeod that did that. Don McMorris was the minister during this time. Lorenza Sakamoose and Carol Ahenakew. Carol Ahenakew was the BATC social income worker out in Atakakoop during all of these attacks, and we were supposed to sign up with them. Josh Sasakamoose also was part of the assault team at ACFS. Here he is saying, yeah, I wish the vote would be over. You can't run, right? And there's Carol Ahenekue again, social worker with Joni General.